That's the problem. Is like, if you are going to try to tell her how she felt about you, you should know what we all saw, or at least that people are all saying, we agree she fell out of like in Mexico, so that you don't, because otherwise you just like wicked defensive about it, because it is just so clear she switched her opinion. And just look on her face when he was saying to her, it's a little unfair for you to say Mexico, and then like walks off, and her face just, she's like, it was Mexico. And then you just see her trying to like collect her shit together again after he walks off. She's like,
to not be dramatic.
Yes. And I'm just like, oh my God, sweet girl. I just want to like hug your inner child or whatever is like keeping you from your full self and emotions.
Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or fact-based reality. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed. Cause it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
I'm Dr. Kay. Feel free to check in and take a seat wherever you like. Can you notice on the video, for those that are watching the video, we're in the same place. Look at our backgrounds. The bookshelf continues.
Continues. The sun is in Dr. K's eyes because when I installed the shade, it was a different season.
So funny. That makes sense, though. And you got the nice ones where you don't need a string. I love those. They just sort of like go and go back up. That's
and
nice.
These are not as expensive as you think. And I think they look a lot better.
They do. They're less messy. It's totally true. Listen.
Effectiveness.
We will head into the next thing, which is to say, we are going to do our whole show today, which is about the reunions, part 1 and 2 of Southern Charm. And we're also... Let's do words in a while. We needed one. We needed a...
Something about the way you said it.
Yeah, Southern Charm.
And Southern Charm is a walking... what's that a word called again?
Testosterone. They are a walking testosterone. That's actually so appropriate. Yeah. You're so right. Because so many of our do's and don'ts, as you'll hear, another do's and don'ts episode, are very much related to misogyny and patriarchy. So what fun. What fun that you did that naturally. I love it. Yes. Right on target. So we will also be doing our checks of sorts, because one check is check in, which is what's on our heart and minds today, and then the other one is reality check, which is where we talk about a study that we think is relevant, either to the content we're talking about or in some other way to something that we care about in some way. Mm-hmm. So let's start with check-ins. No, we start with reality check. So let's start with reality check. What is your reality check today, dear Dr. Ray?
I found an article from APA, Schmader et al., 2008, about stereotype threat.
Yeah.
And stereotype threat is the ways in which I believe I have the right definition here. It doesn't actually say the definition in the article I'm looking at, but the way we internalize ideas about our identities and how it impacts the ways that we act in the world. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like internalized stereotypes, basically. Yeah. Like we take them on to be true, and so then we perform worse if we think we're going to perform worse at something.
Dr. Kay and I were actually talking about math and how probably if had we known we were going to get our PhDs and like have to do some math along or PhDs and PsyDs, we probably would have had more, stood in our power a little more in our ability to do math. So we saw that stereotype threat. Also thinking about Vanita on Southern Charm and the way she always has to act to make herself... I mean, I'm not inside her mind. I don't know what's going on, but what I've witnessed is kind of someone who's hesitant and afraid to take up too much space because she's afraid of being perceived as like the angry Black woman kind of thing. Yeah. But this article says that stereotype threat disrupts three mechanisms, including physiological stress response that directly impairs prefrontal processing, a tendency to actively monitor performance, and efforts to suppress negative thoughts and emotions in the service of self-regulation. So I think that applies to Vanita's case a bit, and maybe how sometimes she doesn't seem as like comfortable or confident in that very Southern very white, very misogynistic. So.
Yes. Oh, God, yes. Works against her in every way.
Jeez.
Jim Crow, yes. Whoa, Jim Crow. Actually, good. This is a little PSA moment because Jim Crow probably, I assume, comes from Jim Crow, right? Don't you think? So now I'm going to not use that term because that is not good. That's racist. So a little language pivot for you. And actually, to that end, I'm going to share another PSA and I'm owning my own racism, internalized racism, and not internalized, implicit racism, which is to say, earlier this week, I said accidentally in a meeting, I said, that's not off the reservation. And I haven't used that phrase in so long. I honestly haven't used it since I was probably like a kid. Like I really haven't used it forever. But as soon as I said it, I quickly then was like off base because I sort of was like, ew, that feels gross coming out of my mouth. And I figure like anything about reservation, unless it's like being reserved kind of a reservation, I'm just going to assume is from native groups, like from our mistreatment, absolutely worse than mistreatment, maltreatment, vicious genocidal treatment of native groups. And I looked it up just to make sure, and sure enough, it's like we did co-opt that term to then also be about politics and sort of the idea of like being off base in terms of off your platform. But actually it was originally used in terms of policing and part of the genocide of native groups. So that's another term for us to check and not use.
But I love how you like name it because I think like Dr. Kay does this work all the time and she's constantly thinking about how to improve her language. And because you, like I, am a human living in this society, we all make mistakes.
Yep.
When we were doing admissions, I think I said the word kooky. And I was like, oh, maybe that's better language than the word crazy or insane. But then afterwards, I looked it up and I was like, kooky. Is this better? And ChatGPT told me that it wasn't.
Okay. It also has a background of saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought it's kind of quirky, but it's still kind of tied to like ableist language. So it's just like, you know.
Which like I was doing that for a bit with like bananas. Like that makes me go banana. No, bananas is the same thing because bananas is just another word for crazy. So it's still using the same sort of like ableist content.
Right.
So I've tried driving me up the wall. I think that one kind of works. Yeah. And then the other one is like that's wild. Obviously I use a lot of that instead. But yeah. And then makes me pull my hair out. I mean, but that's sort of trichotillomania.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. So maybe that's not good.
Damn. There's what we're saying is
lots of language.
Making mistakes and like, you know, non-defensively correcting them.
Exactly.
It only becomes a big issue if we're like so sort of, oh my God, I can't.
Defensive.
Are you okay? Like, I'm okay, right?
Yeah.
That person.
Right.
Like, no, of course. Like,
right. Yeah, no one said anything about my use of that language in the meeting. And right after I sent an email to everybody who was there at that meeting and apologized for it and said, you know, modeled, again, making mistakes, but then also just being able to take ownership of it with each other. Because even as the person who's sort of the director of that center for our school, it still is like, I also make mistakes. And we also need to just do that with each other and for each other and feel okay with it. I have noticed there's like a little bit of a, speaking of stereotype, but of me being like the social justice person, and that makes me scary. And so I think to people in some cases. And so I think it's been good for me to remember like what helps with that is just being authentic with everybody, students, faculty, about the fact that I make mistakes too. That I am not pleasing anybody. In fact, I'm making mistakes, which is why I'm a good person for this role, because it's a good, allyship move to be able to do that, make mistakes and own it and learn from each other and challenge each other. And racism is not a dirty word. In fact, we all have racism because we've all been conditioned in this society. The more we can embrace that and move through it, the more we will actually improve it, rather than being like, I'm not racist. Even the term like a racist, like I think the term a racist needs to go. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I think, like, even though that's, like, helping, I think maybe, and so, to be fair, like, if people of color want to use that word, absolutely, that's totally fair. I think we as white people need to stop being like, I'm not a racist. Because it's like, what is a racist? Like, we are all racist as an adjective. It doesn't mean we're a racist. Right. You know, it's like, we as a people, as a person, I'm not trying, you know. And that's the thing, is like, no one's thinking that you're thinking, that you, other people, that when we try to challenge each other on racism and implicit racism, no one's thinking that you're thinking explicitly, I'm better than them because I'm white. No one thinks that. We get that the explicit racism is out the door. Thank goodness. What a huge first step. Yes. But then also it's more about what you don't control or think of. It's the subconscious part that's harder to fix. So that's what's going to take some time. And we're all on that journey together for the rest of our lives. Yes. So that's good. Embrace it. Yeah. Move through it.
Embrace it. Own it. It's all good.
No, exactly. So along those lines, mine is also, actually I realized as you were talking, mine's kind of an example of stereotype threat, which is kind of cool. So I did mine on women. The reason, so like the thing I looked up to get to this study was about the idea of women being seen as dramatic, quote unquote, which is deeply problematic and pervasive and pernicious view of women, because it means that like we're constantly told like stop being so dramatic, or like you're being too emotional, or you're like too sensitive. And there's no such thing as too sensitive, too emotional. We all have emotions, and how open we are with them is different for different people. And along gender lines, it happens that women are, because we're told that we are more emotional, we have a little bit more freedom to share our emotions. We just really mostly aren't really allowed to be angry because we're seen as a bitch, whereas men are sort of only allowed to be seen as angry, and they're not allowed to have the other emotions either. So we end up living out those stereotypes because we're told that that's true. And so that's the stereotype threat part. It's also projective identification. So in terms of this, though, I looked at one of the effects of that exaggeration of women being so dramatic, which we'll talk about, because in this instance, it's an internalized version of that stereotype that comes up during the reunion, which we'll talk about. So it's a woman who actually brought it up, being dramatic. But in this case, it's talking about pain. So one of the things we know is that Black people, and also it turns out people with low SES, are seen by clinicians as having less pain. Like they're seen as experiencing less pain. So they get less medical treatment for it. Like they get less pain medication. I knew that about Black folks. I did not know that about low SES, but in both those cases, they get less pain medication. Turns out so do women, which I really didn't expect, especially thinking about pregnancy and the fact that they have the worst of pain, if you will, literally getting ripped open like fucking alien, like coming out of their fucking belly. So to me, it's like, duh, but whatever. So the point is, the reason that they are given less pain medication is because they're seen as dramatic and exaggerating, maybe even lying.
Not believed.
So then they're believed less because they're thought of as dramatizing. So this study did a sort of assessment to see if that's the case, if that's what people.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what happened here, but our mics got cut out, and so did the video for this part. So there's a whole scene missing here, and then at the end of our recording as well. So this is just Dr. K. I'm going to give you the rest of my study right now to sort of fit in here, and then we'll get back into the show. So I was talking about the article called "Women Exaggerate, Men Downplay: Gendered Endorsement of Emotional Dramatization Stereotypes Contributes to Gender Bias and Pain Expectations." This is by Gina Paganini, Kevin Summers, Leanne Tenbrink, and E. Page Lloyd. It is published in, let me tell you, the Journal of Experimental and Social Psychology, published in 2023. Okay, so the main thing was that they basically found that women's treatment for pain was reduced. So apparently if you're low SES, if you're Black, or if you're a woman, you're less likely to get pain management meds that fit the pain that you're in, because you're seen as over-exaggerating, whereas men are seen as downplaying the pain. So that shows that this sort of image of us as being dramatic not only is a well-ingrained stereotype, but it also has very real effects for our physical health care, our medical health care, mental health care, our own experiences of ourselves. So, for example, I, growing up, was afraid of being seen as dramatic. My mom used to use that word. And so I got very nervous about it and didn't tell people when I was suffering. And I actually had terrible eyesight for years before I finally told them. And she still said she thought I was being dramatic and that I just wanted to wear glasses, which this is in a time period where that was not cool to do. So definitely not the case. Luckily, my dad took it seriously, got me in there and got me glasses, which I needed, still wear today. Need them to drive. I'm nearsighted. So the sort of idea, I actually was the opposite of being dramatic, and yet that still got rated that way. And so then what do I have to learn? This is not what happened, but normally with kids, you'd think then that what they have to learn is they have to become more dramatic because they're going to be assumed to be dramatic. So they better dramatize beyond how they feel so that people will take the actual reality, which is like, a step back from how dramatic they are. But I never did that because I still was just not comfortable, and I had such internalized sexism about women that I didn't feel like I wanted to be seen as dramatic at all. So it ends up hurting us, and then otherwise we have to give into the stereotype and internalize it, just like stereotype threat that Dr. Ray and I were talking about. So it fits nicely with our conversation today. Oh yeah. And the bottom line of the study is that when they controlled for the stereotype that women are dramatic, then that difference went away. So the difference in how women were treated when they were in pain in a medical office, the difference went away when they controlled for the stereotype of being dramatic. So if they didn't believe that we were being dramatic in general as women, then they weren't going to believe that we were over-exaggerating our pain. Okay. That's a big deal. These are the ways that these affect us, friends. And obviously we can say the same thing is true for both African-American or Black folks and also low SES folks. I'm sure if we controlled for those stereotypes as well, we would also say that they were not exaggerating their pain if we didn't think of them as exaggerative to begin with. Or I guess with Black folks, it might be that if we didn't think of them as stronger because we see them as more animalistic and so forth from a history of enslavement. and white supremacy marking them as animalistic as a way of excusing why we enslaved them, problematic. So if we control for whatever the stereotype is, we would not probably think they're exaggerating their pain. So it just shows the very big, very real effects of these types of stereotypes on physical health outcomes.
Okay, so let's hop, skip, jump right up on in the air. I'm gonna also, I just realized I had closed out my, here we go, perfect.
Wait, did you do your check-in?
I did not.
Oh.
Let me do my check-in.
Yes.
So, my check-in is, Yes, well. Oh, my book. I'll talk about my book. That's fine. So I already talked about how the reviews. Well, so the reason it, I already talked, pretty much, absolutely talked way too much about this already. But the book I was invited to today is finally the last stages. I did meet with my publisher. He did repeat again. He was like, "You really don't have to do anything. This is really like personal opinion." He's like, "So just don't even worry about it." I was like, "I worry about it, friend. I'm a psychologist. I like to respond to feedback, and feedback is worthy." So I moved up my ethics chapter that he liked so much, made that the beginning of the clinical section, and I'm doing a lot of those edits right now. I was actually up a lot last night and the night before, just like trying to hammer out as many edits as I can get done. So because it's due tomorrow to have the reviewed version, I due to be able to review to then send it to him. So the cool thing is the table of contents should be coming out any day now on Amazon. So you'll be able to see that it's coming soon, and it's called Sexual Violence, Trauma, and Creative Healing. Check it out.
Yay!
Check it out.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm stoked. That's great. I love it.
Healing.
Yep.
It's very
Sexual violence,
important.
trauma, and creative healing. And I saw the cover. We have the cover done. I love the cover. It's so cute. I'll share it with you. It's pretty. It's just not cute. It's gorgeous, but it is cute.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous, cute.
Gorgeous.
All the thing.
Exactly. So, anyway, y'all will see. Y'all will see it one day because I will put an ad for it. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
But you can at least see the cover. I'll probably put that on my social media because I'm proud of it.
You should also put the book on it. I like the
right?
link.
People would be like, "Go
Seriously, though, some of you are psychologists. You should buy this book. I think
Yes.
it's very informative.
Especially because it's not for art therapists. It's for, and if you are an art therapist, you'll like it too because it's a lot about trauma and the psychologist perspective of it, rather than necessarily just a clinician perspective. But it also is very appropriate for people that don't typically do art therapy because it's a way of integrating it that's a lot more accessible. Okay, so we're going to do our Southern Charm reunion parts 1 and 2. This is the relationship do's and don'ts, so relationship advice that we get from Southern Charm. Take it away with the do's.
So work on repairing friendships, even if it is to leave it at civil, so as to release yourself of the open-ended rupture. Austin and Craig need to stop this. They need to figure out how to stop doing this push-pull thing and just figure out how to be civil with one another because they're making it so annoying for everyone else.
Too much.
So literally every other time they see each other, rupture, repair, repair. But the repairs are not that good. Austin leaves them feeling bad. I think Craig just kind of represses it and moves on or whatever.
And assumes that's good out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and then no one's happy, and then they just do it again the next time. Figure out if you don't want to do this anymore, then figure out how to be civil together and move on with your lives. You will be okay.
Please.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah. Austin and Craig, it's enough. I don't need to see it anymore. It's not enough of a show on its own. We need to move on.
Yeah, if this is the only thing keeping the show together, then I agree. It's not enough to keep the show together. So find something new and interesting to do.
Yeah, it's new and interesting. Yes, I agree. I love it. Another do is see past the, in parentheses, internalized, misogynistic image of women as quote-unquote dramatic. So this is where I did my reality check, because this is about Charlie, who on her own felt so, she looked like she was really trying to police herself and her own emotions during the actual reunion. Yeah. And then she runs into the back and sort of keeps saying like, no, I'm fine. It's okay. I'm fine. And she kept trying to tell Sally, she's like, I'm actually fine. She's like, I know I seem like I'm upset, but I'm okay. I'm just overwhelmed. And so she ended up actually saying out loud, I'm not trying. I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm just overwhelmed. Which is just so sad, because it just says a lot about how like that's part of what she worries about, people thinking about her, and that by having it just crying a little bit that people are going to see her as dramatic. And that makes me super sad, especially because she's on a show where actually we're like begging them to be dramatic. You know, it puts her in a weird bind if she's worried about that. So I really feel sad about that, and I also feel sad about women in general internalizing that stereotype, because, by the way, I think if we are holding ourselves back, it's going to end up hurting us more than anyone else, because it's going to come out sideways, first of all, because then we'll explode sometimes, but then also it physically can hurt you and make you sick to be holding back your emotions. And that's an unfortunate part of gender bias for men, is that they're not allowed to have emotions other than anger. They get sick from that too, from not being able to express themselves along the way. So dangerous.
Healing the binds of our various gender internalizations. Yeah, Charlie does seem like she does a lot of like image management, and I hope she can release that a little bit if she's on the show again next season.
Me too. Me too.
Do define a relationship status. So what do we mean by this? So before claiming someone is love bombing or two-timing you, Craig about Charlie and Charlie saying there were two dates, like they were both trying to, I think, spin different narratives about what had happened between the two of them. And, you know, both of them could kind of put these narratives out there because there was no definition of what they were doing here.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, if you're like talking and dating for more than a month, I think that's when you need to start talking about what you're doing here.
Yeah. Because you can decide not to date. You can decide we're not together, but you should at least talk about it.
Right.
Say, like, we're not together. And I do get the sense, like, I really do believe, oh my gosh, that was the other, by the way, we were talking about things that I called. That was the other thing I called, which is when I said that I was like, okay, he said that they were talking every day before Mexico, and since then he said we've talked every other day, and I was like, I bet they only talked once since, and then it was just, and she literally said that. She was like, we talked once. I was like, damn, I call that.
He's a spinner of the truth.
He certainly is. But yeah, so basically the talking, I think that should have been enough data points for him to know there was something different. Yeah. But still, I agree. Like when they were talking every day, she probably should have had a talk with him about the fact that, I mean, like she said though, she thought they were going somewhere. So that's what's hard. It was like when she saw him act out like that in the van, she just saw a different person. You could see it on her face when they keep showing us that scene where she's just mortified by how he's behaving. That's what wrote him off for her. And so I think, you know, she should have defined it at that point and been like, we are done because of what I saw.
Yep. I am. Yeah. And it is, I mean, I'm not saying that what he did wasn't bad, and the way she kind of flipped, I mean, maybe there's something in her past that we don't know about, because it did feel pretty like, or maybe she was just like, the image of this person is not something that I want to be associated with. I don't know why my brain goes there with her, but it kind of does. But yeah, I do wish she would have talked to him, even though he shouldn't have done that.
Yes.
And should have realized that that was the reason.
Yes, totally. Yeah. He shouldn't have done that. And he should realize that was part of the reason. Exactly right. He doesn't think he's really doing anything wrong anymore when he does that, because everyone forgives him usually. But yeah, Charlie and Sally don't feel that way. They're sort of newer to the group, and Sally, similarly to Charlie, really did want an apology after he behaved like that, which he didn't expect either, clearly, just because everyone else has been enabling that behavior over time. I mean, everyone has different thresholds for anger, and I can imagine, especially in the South, because we really don't know as not South people, that she really might have never seen that happen before. She might have never seen a friend yell at someone like that.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't be surprised by.
Even though Southern men, maybe I just have a stereotype based on some Midwestern men, but maybe I'm being unfair because I don't actually know. So,
do you think maybe Southern men do yell? Yeah,
that would be my assumption, but I might be wrong about that.
I think they try to hold themselves to like a noble, like they try to pretend like they're nobility in some ways or whatever. But yeah, I think there's sort of like a Southern, like it's the idea that they say like bless your heart to mean like fuck you, but they can't say that. Okay, I was worried that my brother was not going to
No.
That they say like bless your heart instead of being like you're gross or I hate you. And so I think that it's or like fuck you or whatever. So I think it's, in general, I don't think that they voice dissent with each other or conflict. So I don't think there's a ton of conflict, honestly.
It's not funny. You called me a loser. I don't know.
They were all very activated by that. It says so much. Like up here, we're like, okay, was that bad? I mean, it's just kind of funny. It's like saying dickhead, but
volume, like the volume should have gone down.
And the trapped in a car.
Yeah, the trapped in the car is not good.
Very bad, and none of it's good. We're actually not saying any of that was okay. Exactly. Neither of us are. No, totally. Exactly. I actually totally understand her flip if she wasn't used to seeing people be like that, and also especially wasn't used to seeing Craig be like that. And then she sort of realized everyone else has known this about him and no one is telling him. And so then she was like, well, I don't want to be the one to tell him, because then it looks like I'm the one who's thinking she might think I'm going to be seen as dramatic. Honestly. Oh, yeah. If she gave him feedback about it.
Yep. And she wants to avoid that like the plague, it seems.
And then B. Do define relationship status.
in order to avoid double standards. So Austin and Sally, Austin saying he doesn't claim her, ew.
Right.
But also saying she's out on the streets, like essentially slut-shaming her.
Yep.
And questioning her body count, thereby expecting her to be a loyal girlfriend, but not making a commitment to her. So she's in the biggest double bind ever. Like, oh, I hated that so much.
It was so gross. Austin, sit the fuck down. Like, I can't even. It's just so, like, ugh. Like, this was the other thing that Dr. Ray was saying that I had called or whatever, because it's true. Like, I was like, he sees her as too sexually active for him. Like, he doesn't think she's girlfriend material, because he really doesn't, clearly. And that's what he's sort of saying. And it's so gross and rude. She's sitting there making every move on him in front of us, you know?
In a so cute way.
And then the joke about her eating a salad, and she was like, I'll tell Austin, no eating my ass tonight. That's so cute. I really love it. She's so funny and spunky. And we've been like, because we're very sex positive on this podcast, we have been very pro Sally being sex positive herself, and how we love that she's out there and living her best life and talking about it and normalizing it, as she should. Normalize women having sex as much as they want with whomever they want. And just taking care of safety, and that's it, just for themselves, for their own sake. But that's the only thing. And so really it's like frustrating that he's just straight up called that out during a reunion as if that's valid reason for why he doesn't quote unquote claim her, which also would have been problematic, because it's like she's not an object. But
and then was like Audrey, though, you know, that whole thing was
she probably was the one who got away. She probably was.
Like, right in front of this person you're sleeping with. It was so mean. I mean, I know, don't get me wrong, the Sally Austin thing right after the breakup wasn't the coolest, but like, that was also mean.
I
Like,
know. I know. You don't need to trash her like that. I mean, it's so rude. And then it also reminds me of the way that he was. Oh yeah, when they were talking about like, did y'all have sex? And they were sort of quote unquote denying it, and even Madison was like, you cannot tell me y'all have not had sex. But if you watch, you can tell that Sally is sort of being like, yeah, we did. But like, so it's clearly coming from Austin. So clearly Austin told her, we're not telling anyone we've had sex.
And she was like, whatever, I don't care.
Well, she's going to, like, she was trying not to for his sake. But it just says so much about the fact that, like, he didn't want anyone to know. Like, he was denying it. He was trying to hide the fact they had sex. Which so shitty. It's so shitty. It's embarrassing for her. It's so shitty. And then also it's like, I get that maybe he didn't want people to know he had sex close to when he broke up with Audrey, but at this point no one would have been like, oh, I bet it was day one, because we saw her begging to make out with him, so clearly it wasn't like day one anyway that they had sex. So you can at least let us know you've had sex, because since then would make sense.
We don't care. Even Audrey, I mean, I'm sure she's heard, but I think she's okay. Yeah, I think she'll be that's not what she's upset about.
No, exactly. It's like you were already sort of like, it seems like a little bit flirting with her while they all were still together.
Definitely.
That would piss me off too. I think also maybe I can imagine Audrey feeling a little embarrassed that she was worried about something else. Like, she was like, oh, is she going for Craig? And Madison was like, no, I think she's going for Austin. Like, I could see her sort of being like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't notice that when like even Madison was, you know. So that sucks. People hate like feeling like they should have seen something they didn't see or whatever. Obviously we do. It sucks. Yeah. So bummer. Okay, so now we're on to the don'ts land. So don't. Number 1. Don't tell someone how they felt about you and when they felt that way. When Craig mother effing said, Charlie told us I fell out of like with you during Mexico. By the way, to us as an audience, that is so fucking clear and obvious. And motherfucking Craig says, it's a little unfair for you to say Mexico. The funny thing is, of course, he didn't see the fucking show, so no wonder he didn't. Right. Like, that's pretty fucking clear. And we did guess that, so that's not shocking. But also, like, yeah, it's pretty obvious, because that's like, dude, if you watch the show back, and then that's the problem. It's like, if you are going to try to tell her how she felt about you, you should know what we all saw, or at least that people are all saying, we agree she fell out of like in Mexico, so that you don't, because otherwise you just look like a major denier, you know, like wicked defensive about it, because it is just so clear she switched her opinion. And just look on her face when he was saying to her, it's a little unfair for you to say Mexico, and then like walks off, and her face just, she's like, it was Mexico. And then you just see her trying to like collect her shit together again after he walks off. She's like,
to not be dramatic.
Yes. And it's like, oh my God, sweet girl. I just want to like hug your inner child or whatever is like keeping you from letting it all hang out, or like be your full self and have your emotions. It's so sad. It's so like debutante.
Yeah, shit. I bet that's exact, because isn't she pageant? That's what it is. She's a pageant person.
Yeah, which I think Sally was too, maybe, or something.
Well, I guess Sally's gotten
Gone free.
A little more.
Gone free.
Yeah, Sally had the biggest upward trajectory for me this season, actually.
Yeah. I like her a lot more now. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. Take it away.
Yes. Don't hide behind, I wasn't of right mind for your behaviors, even if you bring that in as part of what you're learning about yourself. So Craig, about the van. And if he said that after he said, I'm so sorry, like,
Yes.
I feel so bad about that. I've been thinking about it so much and I have such regrets.
Yes.
And I've been reflecting on like the mindset I was in at the time. And that's something I'm working on. That's very different than like starting with, I wasn't in my right mind.
Yes.
Okay. But like
Starting and ending with that. He basically just was like, I was not in my right mind.
so doesn't
Period.
count.
Yeah. Period. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Great. It's just, he's so defensive. And he was telling Andy, I've been so good this year or whatever. He's just,
That was wild. And Andy was like, really? Oh, really?
he's so shady.
I love it. I love it. I love it. He called some real shit out this reunion. I was into it. He had a few things where I was like, good for you. He's like, do you think maybe that da-da-da-da-da? Yes, Andy. Yes, exactly. Correct. Yeah, he was saying to Andy, he was like, I was so good until then. I was so good until then. And then Andy was like, oh yeah. And then he was also like, but then later he admitted he called it a breakdown or something about how he was in the van. I was like, okay, so you do get that was a breakdown. It wasn't like you were so good all season.
Right.
And there was one other thing he said too, which I was just like, what? I don't know, maybe, well, whatever. I think it was probably that. But yeah, that's just the way he like thinks about himself from this season is so wild. It's so vastly different. That's what happens when you don't watch it. And I appreciated Madison being like, you should try it. Like, you might actually like learn a little something about it.
Her method was really like kind.
So good. Yeah, she's really good with, particularly men.
Yeah, she's good with men.
Very good with men. Like
Less
saying
good with
it
women.
gentle. Yeah.
Calling them not wife material.
Yeah.
She's
Very slut shaming as well. Very judgmental. I think it's almost like with men, she's very good at helping them see another perspective and sort of work on themselves. With women, it's almost like she feels like she's like, prove yourself or something. You know, like there's a different part of her that's sort of like, you're not at my level or you're not, you know, it's like sort of like, you know, get your shit together. It's like a different kind of dismissiveness of women where it's kind of a bummer. But she's also like a girl's girl. Like I think she likes girls, but I think she's not very good at like helping them in the same way she helps men.
That's what Patricia like, actually. Because Patricia prefers, but maybe she's a little less Patricia-y than Patricia is, but she does have that kiss the ring sort of quality.
She does, and she likes Patricia a lot. So she's been mentored by Patricia. I wouldn't be surprised if you're right, if that's where she got it from. It's a great point, great comparison, because she does love Patricia, and it is very much like the kiss the ring. It's like you guys now it's yours. Then it's like how we like haze the next generation. It's like I went through this, and now you have to go through this. Like
It's like it could be better for future. We could learn and not do the same thing.
What if instead you use your experience to improve it for people after you, including saying to Sally, girl, get off, like go off, get off too. Make sure you're getting off. That's also important. That's a very good
Sally.
Yes, very important lesson to pass down to the other women, actually. Very important. And also go off, bitch. You know, like get your bag. And like, whereas instead she's sort of like, you're not wife material, acts like wife material, which is like, well, that's not really the message we're looking for here. We're looking for Austin to get his shit together and see women as respectable no matter what. If she wants to, because he can do the same fucking thing. And it's not a big problem. That's part of it. It's sexism and misogynistic. He's gotten laid plenty by going out in town and fucking Charleston. So, anyway. Let's see. Oh, also, I kind of love, by the way, that Charlie's isn't in the notes, so worth mentioning real quick. I love that she's with Jason Assad, Charlie's new boyfriend.
Oh.
Jonathan? No.
I don't know who it is.
Justin Assad, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. Which I really am enjoying that for her because he's very cute. I noticed him on, Justin Assad. I noticed him on he's on Southern Hospitality, which I enjoy that show if I'm honest. And I'm excited they came back for another season, by the way. I've been watching it. Oh, I just closed it all together. But yeah, he's very, very cute and also a good guy. Like, so he's right here. He's a good guy on that show. He's not one of the people that's like
He's really cute.
Yes, very, very cute.
You go, Charlie.
Yes.
For Charlie.
Yes, me too. I love them together. Exactly.
No offense, Craig. Keep working on yourself. Get in your right state of mind.
Yes, that as well. Right state of mind. And then everybody will be improved.
Which will involve not blaming things on your state of mind.
Exactly. Oh my God, look how awful that is. That's so mean that they did that. Now she's going to be like, I am dramatic, see? That's so sad. Like, people need to be nicer. Okay, yeah, I was just going to find you a good picture of him because this is hard to tell what he's like on the show. But yeah, he looks more like that.
He's
like,
cute.
he's very cute. Yeah. So, I like him on the show also because he's sort of like a manager too. So he has some power and he doesn't act like a dick about it. So we like it. We like that.
Big fans.
Yes. So I'm happy for her. I'm happy for her about that. Back to these notes. So the last, I'm just gonna look at this really quickly. After Ryan heard divorce, I just saw this like thing that said rumor about. It says rumors with Perfect Match alum Justin Asada. Oh, it's Asada, not Assad, maybe.
Oh,
Okay.
well, I didn't know
Morris.
he was married with Maren Morris.
Yes, apparently there was a rumor about them being together.
Okay.
I still don't think it's Assad, though. I think it's just Assad. So that was a mistake. It's not Asada, it's just Assad. So don't listen to that article that misspoke. Or that one was. Last and very much not least, weaponize friends to keep tabs on or monitor your ideal girlfriend, not even actual girlfriend, by the way, which would also be inappropriate. Because it creates a bit of a panopticon effect, where panopticon is people being able to watch from all angles when you're in the middle, so they can see you you're in the middle. It's sort of like a stadium effect. So the idea is this is very much Austin and Sally monitoring Charlie for Craig's sake. The way that Austin, even, they were just like straight up owning it. Like, yeah, Austin texted him while you were in Vegas because you said you had a new boyfriend and you didn't tell him that. Da, 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 da. And then Sally was doing the same thing and telling Craig things about Charlie and telling Craig that she was talking to two guys at the time, which again is like, right, because y'all weren't together. You went on 2 dates. And Charlie was like, I never told you I was only seeing you. Like, the way that she said that, I believe her 100%. She was like, I never said that. And you know that Craig bends the truth. We all know that. Craig's had to admit it because he's been caught in so many lies. So I totally believe her that she never said that. And she's allowed to date multiple people at once. That's actually kind of the name of the game, especially when you're looking to see if there's somebody you want to marry. So, like, you're going to want to try different flavors out. So I think weaponizing his friends to keep tabs on her. I say ideal girlfriend because he was hoping she'd be his girlfriend, but she wasn't even his actual girlfriend, and which would also be inappropriate. But then even worse, it's an ideal girlfriend, and he used sort of Austin and Sally's data points to use against her. And also, I say shitty on Sally's part. For your girlfriends, don't do that. Don't report back and sort of create more drama than need be.
Sally, she'll have those redeeming moments, but she has some work to do still in her friendships with the other ladies on the show.
Exactly. It's sort of like she's like a new girl's girl. I think she historically felt more competitive with girls for men's attention, and the way she was on The Bachelor, like on both. I mean, she was on The Bachelor for 1 second during Clayton Echard's season, but then did you watch that season?
I did, but I don't remember.
She was in the first episode only because she clocked out the night of the first night, the limo night. She tells him, I don't want to do this anymore. And he goes, can we meet?
Oh, she was that.
And he tried to give her a rose. I kind of love that. I know. She was like, I don't like this actually. Never mind. And she leaves. He tries to give her a rose and she's like, nope, I'm out.
I'm actually sort of obsessed with that.
I know, it was great. I loved it that she was like, no, thank you. So then what happened was, then they invited her back on Bachelor in Paradise. And then that was the time where they went through her suitcase. Yeah.
Stupid bit. It was kind of annoying.
It was terrible. So Wells did this whole like thing, putting a wig on, being so dumb.
Really dumb and bad.
Oh, so bad.
They gave Wells too much power.
Wells can sit the fuck down. You are not a producer, sir. And then they looked through her suitcase, found her dildo and stuff, her vibrator. Remember that? It was so bad. I mean, that was Sally. They went through her suitcase. Yep. So inappropriate. By the way, that might not even have been her vibrator. That could have been producer Pups Planted. So we don't even know. But they made a whole plot line around it. She came down to the beach and she was there for 20 minutes and left. Like, because people, again, kind of came for her and she was like, I don't want to be here. So I get the sense that, like, what was so uncomfortable for her in both those cases was having to compete with women for men. I think she was like, didn't want to compete because she was worried she wouldn't come out on top, frankly, or whatever it is. But that shows that she had such an uncomfortable time imagining just becoming friends with the girls too, So I think she's a newly discovered girl's girl, which also means that, like, her friendship with Vanita, which I really like, I think she's trying to fight for that friendship. I like that about her, that she's doing that. That means that that's also still kind of like new behavior for her, and so she's not going to have all the right things down yet. The instinctual part is not there yet. It's not like fully fleshed out for her. It's not her full being in it or whatever. Because if it were, she would have been different with Charlie for sure. Absolutely, yeah. Because Charlie is a girl's girl.
Yeah,
she's like an embodied girl's girl.
She should have been more honest, I think, with Sally about the Craig situation.
Yes. She's definitely a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the southern part, the like sort of like Southern Belle, but debutante pageant girl is like a definite people pleaser. And yet she's very forward with Craig, which I really appreciate. But yeah, she's less forward with girls, I think, probably not to hurt their feelings. Sweet, but yeah, well intended. But yeah, the people-pleasing tendencies is one of those things we all can keep working on. Keep working on those tendencies.
Indubitably.
Try to have more direct conversations when we can. Not always easy. Because, I mean, on the flip side, it's not like we're trying to not please people. You know, it's like you also want to, like, have good relationships and be kind to people. But it's not necessarily people-pleasing to be kind. It's, you know, being kind isn't necessarily people-pleasing. It's also a separate thing. You can be kind and be forward. Benign matter-of-factness, as we like to say.
Yes. We're all working on it all the freaking time. Even us as psychologists, we're working on it all the freaking time.
Exactly, because a lot of us are people pleasers if we became psychologists because we want to help people. You know, right? To ask everyone in their school, they would all agree. Like, it's one of the things I work on with every supervisee, always, like people pleasing tendencies and what made it hard for you to say that to them. Like, oh, what do you think that is? You know, sort of looking back at your childhood and how you became a people pleaser. Perfectionists and people pleasers go into our degree for sure.
PPP.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfectionist, people pleasers, psychologists. That's
exactly.
Y'all, and then we got cut off again. So frustrating, because that was actually real funny if I do say so myself. Because then, after that point, I said to Dr. Ray, I said, oh, I see how you got the 2 P's for people pleaser. It's like P-P. So then I was like, so it's sort of like PP-PP. PP-PP. And then we both started cracking up. And let me tell you, it was probably funnier the first time, but still funny nonetheless to me because I was there the first time. So I still try to impart that on you all, since obviously it's a bummer. These things are getting chopped up here, these audios. So all this to say, that was roundabout where we were ending the conversation. So therefore, friends, feel free to write in and tell us on the email address what you think about things like Southern Charm. What do you think about Charlie and Craig, or what do you think about Craig's anger? Do you think that really is alcohol infused only, or do you think his anger is also a separate issue? Which, by the way, I give him props. He started to see as different at the end of the conversation and sort of said, historically, I've only ever really thought about my alcoholism. Andy, oh my gosh, earlier when I was saying Andy was a little bit shady, one of the things he said that was shady was asking Craig if that's what he hasn't talked about in therapy. He's like, you haven't talked about anger in therapy? Like, I'm sorry, what? Amazing. Very, very intrusive. And not really appropriate to ask what he's talking about in therapy. But still, it brought up a really great point for Craig to be able to say, no, I was focused on the alcoholism. Now I know there's a separate anger issue. I can work on that. I love it. Hope he does. So last but not least, then, please do feel free to write us in to our email at realitycheckpodding, PODDING, @gmail.com. If you have thoughts about any of what we just talked about, maybe there's something else you thought we missed out on for a do or a don't from relationship advice that's found on Southern Charm, or maybe you disagree with one of our points about one of these things. We're so happy to hear it. Bring it out onto the pod. You could also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/realitytest, capital R, capital T. You'll notice I'm almost completely caught up on videos. So if you're interested in seeing our video episodes, they are on there. You can buy a single one for $5. It's like $7 with Apple if you buy it on your phone. So go on the internet and buy it on your browser, so it's cheaper. And then you can also see that you'll find you can get a membership for $5 a month. So rather than $5 video, which would be for a month, you can get $5 one time and get 4 videos a month, plus all of our goodies and back behind the scenes videos and so forth like that. So lots of access you wouldn't otherwise get. Again, $5 measly. That's like a coffee a month. And you won't regret it, I'll tell you, because we have lots of good stuff. There's also like mental health checkups and things like that with some real like psych content that can be helpful, especially at a time like this in our society that's really just draining and oppressive and depressive. You can also go to the search bar on patreon.com and put in the search bar @reality test, capital R, capital T. That'll help you find us as well. The other places you can find us include social medias. So, for example, on Instagram at Reality Test Podcast, or you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Reality Test Pod. Reality Test Pod is our Facebook page, and at Reality Test Pod is our YouTube handle or channel. That's it. Yeah, because I already did email. So this is when Dr. Ray said and would say, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe, and tell all your friends. And then I would say, hi, friends who were brought here by your friends. Please tell your friends and bring them along as well. And we love and adore you all, and we will see y'all next session. Bye.